We're doing paranormal research out of Massachusetts. I'm going to touch a little bit today about what's called the Bridgewater Triangle. It's an area in Mass that we have that's about 200 square miles with all sorts of different folklore, urban legends, crypto creatures that go on that have been seen there, and murder, cults, and just different, all aspects that it comes to shock to deal with the paranormal. As you can see, I focus more on the Freetown State Forest or some of the parts and some of the other areas. I will break it down during this slide and show you. And I do have a short little 10-minute video so to show you different parts of the cults that are going on. If the kids are young, they will show a little bit of graphic stuff of certain animals that have been cut off, things like that. They're actual police footage photos. Okay, so just so you guys know, it can get a little graphic.
Thank you.
What you're looking at here is that is the entrance to the Freetown State Forest. The Freetown State Forest is about 45 to 60 square miles of the 200 square mile area of just a dense forest. There's many different ways to get into it. It actually takes up 3 towns within itself. It's part of Freetown, it's part of Fall River, and it's also part of another town called Dartmouth. Different areas of it, the way the city water lines go through. So it's a very big forest. Within the forest is what we call the Freetown Ledge, which is a very big ledge rock formation. There's the Indian ceremonial area where Wampanoag Indians during the King Philip's War and still to this present day actually use the area 3 times a year, go up, do their New Year's up there, do a summer ritual up there for a week. And this rock here is actually profile rock, which has a lot to do with the Indians. As you can see, it does have a profile to it. This was shot, I believe, in the late 70s, early 80s, this picture. It has fallen apart somewhat now. The nose is missing off of it. It's been very, as you can see, there is some graffiti on here back then, but it's even worse now. During the King Philip's War, when the Indians were there, this is the last stand for King Sachem, was at this place, and he supposedly buried his belt, his tribal belt, his war belt there. People have gone looking for it, haven't been able to find it. It's of great value to a piece of history. Obviously, there's collectors out there that would love to get their hands on it if they could ever find it because of the value of it. But it's the history of the land and what is there is just amazing in itself. And I think that's why a lot of people go looking for it too, because it was such a huge part of the history. When the Indians were here first, when the settlers came in, they kind of took King Philip, they called him King Philip, even though his name was Sachem. They called him King Philip to talk to him, to better understand him, and kind of took them under his wing, thinking that they would help him, that the Indians would help the settlers. And in turn, they were using the Indians eventually to take their land from them. When the Indians didn't agree with them, they did end up setting up King Philip's son, 2 of them, turned traitor on him, and set them up to be slaughtered, all of them. 3,000 Indians, later on in the slide I'll show you, were brought to a cliff where they would watch for this, said go there, wait for them, they'll be coming. And when they got there, the settlers were there with guns and just massacred every one of them. And that's what started the King Philip's War. This is an overview of the triangle. The triangle, like I said, is about 200 square miles. It starts in Abington, Mass, at the most northern point. The southwestern point would be Rehoboth, Mass, and the southeastern point is Freetown, Fall River, Mass. The triangle was dubbed the Bridgewater Triangle back in the 70s because there was a gentleman named Warren Coleman that was studying a lot about the Bermuda Triangle. And at the time, the Bermuda Triangle was so big, let's call it the Bridgewater Triangle, it'll get attention brought to it. Instead of just saying we have a 200 square mile area that's spooky and haunted. So he did that, and it did get a lot of attention. He's written numerous books on it. I mean, you could go anywhere and find the books because they are pretty famous, actually. They're not just from the New England area. They say out of all the cities that are in the triangle, I believe there's 15 that are in the triangle. Out of the 15, reports of hauntings or mysterious happenings have actually only happened in about maybe 9 of them. But on the outskirts of the triangle, you could almost call it a hectagon now instead of a triangle, because there's so much that happens on the outsides. Below Fall River, there's a town in Tiverton, Rhode Island, named Tiverton, Rhode Island. There's numerous reports of stuff going on. Just to the other side of Rehoboth, there's Swansea, Seacount, Somerset. And those are all on the outskirts of the triangle, and there's tons of history that go on there. We've done numerous investigations and actually relating to the Indians. And the same thing on this side, headed towards the Cape Cod, Massachusetts, headed down towards the east. There's more numerous places that way. So I think he did that just to get the attention of people, but now realistically, when you look at it, it's more than just that. I am going to show the video now, next. You guys can sit back, relax, watch it. It's going to have one of the detectives that dealt with all the culprit murders in the forest that will explain a lot of it. It's narrated, so he'll be able to kind of get an idea of what went on.
Although the Hockomock Swamp is likely the most famous location within the Bridgewater Triangle, the Freetown State Forest could very possibly be the most feared. The forest is a 10,000-acre state preserve located within the lower right-hand portion of the Bridgewater Triangle. It is within the forest's deepest portions that many victims of horrible atrocities have been discovered. The region has often been used as a dumping ground for murder victims and the site for gruesome satanic sacrifices. Retired Freetown Police Lieutenant Detective Alan Alves spent much of his career researching the activity of satanic cults in the region. During his many years of investigating satanic cults, Alves has seen many strange and disturbing things.
Part of our patrol area, part of our investigation was state forest, and weird things were happening in the state forest, and my lieutenant at the time, Norm Allison, said that all those leftover hippies, we see people with red robes and fires and stuff like that. Later on, found evidence of animal sacrifices and so forth. So I started to read up on it and look into it.
My uncle lives next to the Freetown State Forest. We were out on, four-wheelers, ATVs or whatever, going through the old logging trails, and it's a great place to ride, and I was on the back. It was about time, about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. We were coming back towards the house, and there was a bonfire.
Although the Hockomock Swamp is
Sorry
likely
about
the most
that. You guys
famous
gonna watch
location
that
in the
over.
Bridgewater Triangle, the Freetown State Forest could very possibly be the most feared. The forest is a 10,000-acre state preserve located within the lower right-hand portion of the Bridgewater Triangle. It is within the forest's deepest portions that many victims of horrible atrocities have been discovered. The region has often been used as a dumping ground for murder victims and the site for gruesome satanic sacrifices. Retired Freetown Police Lieutenant Detective Alan Alves spent much of his career researching the activity of satanic cults in the region. During his many years of investigating satanic cults, Alves has seen many strange and disturbing things.
Part of our patrol area, part of our investigation was state forest, and weird things were happening in the state forest, and my lieutenant at the time, Norm Allison, said that all those leftover hippies, we see people with red robes and fires and stuff like that. Later on, found evidence of animal sacrifices and so forth. So I started to read up on it and look into it.
My uncle lives next to the Freetown State Forest. We were on, four-wheelers, you can call them, ATVs or whatever, going through the old logging trails, and it's a great place to ride, and I was on the back. It was about dusk time, about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. We were coming back towards the house, and we noticed a bonfire, in which my uncle's always afraid there's going to be a forest fire. We slowed down, and then we noticed, we were kind of, I'd say about maybe 100 yards to the left of it, and through the trees, big pine trees, see people around the fire. Like images, not, we couldn't say it was people, but it was definitely something around the fire because it was kind of in and out, and we thought maybe it was trees, so we stopped before we all. You could hear people yelling and talking and getting closer, like they were running, and so their bodies were getting closer to us, which blocked out the fire itself. And I remember Pat jumping on my uncle's back and tapping him on the shoulders, go, 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 go. We took off from there. Now, of course, there's reports of, devil worshippers and everything. Would that happen? Yeah, maybe. Why such aggressive stance with just 2 people falling in the woods?
In 1979, satanic cult members Robin Murphy and Carl Drew, who were known to practice Satanism in the Freetown State Forest, brutally murdered 3 Fall River prostitutes. The bodies of 2 of the women were found with their hands and legs lashed together in locations outside of the forest in neighboring towns.
It's making papers right now. Robin Murphy is trying to get parole. She's been, her and Kyle Drew were both sentenced for murder.
In 1988, the remains of Elizabeth Gregory were stolen from a remote grave in the Freetown State Forest. Cult activity was also suspected in this case.
We had some old graves from the 17th, 18th century in the state forest, which were dug up. And, actually, it was 2 side by side, as a matter of fact. They dig up the graves in order to obtain the skull. We had a break into a mausoleum. They raided the cemetery and they removed the head of a body that they broke in the casket, took the head. We ended up arresting some juveniles regarding that. They were attempting to get into a cult, and that was the first order of business. They had to bring in a skull.
Most recently, the mutilated bodies of sacrificed cattle have been discovered in the forest. In one instance, a dozen baby calves were slaughtered in a satanic ritual near the Dartmouth side of the forest. Later, the skeletal remains of a headless adult cow were found in the same spot.
The blood had been sucked right out of it. How they do it, there's a way of doing it. What they do is they make an incision in the neck, and while the animal is gasping for breath, they spray hairspray in its mouth so it can't get oxygen. That way it gets the heart to beat faster and quicker, and the blood, they can remove the blood in a matter of minutes. Heart pumps it out just like a water pump drain in a swimming pool. A lot of the animals, they'll buy them at an auction or anything. They're not really stealing them, so they're not doing anything illegal. Actually, most of them are goats. And the reason why they want goats is because of the cloven hoof. Just like Satan's supposed to have a cloven hoof, they want the cloven hoof of a goat. Just like the lamb signifies God and Jesus, the Lamb of God, the goat signifies Satan. If you took the pentagram, okay, if the point of the star is pointed north or pointed up, that's Wicca, that's white witchcraft, it's not evil, okay? Evil is when it's turned around and the arrow is pointed down or south, then that's satanic activity. And when it's pointed down, that star comes like this, and because it comes to a V here and up, well, it signifies the horns, and that's the circle they use to do their rituals, because Satan is supposed to rise right up out of that circle. But what they do is they'll take the blood from the animal and they'll put it in this chalice, and they'll either mix it with urine or semen from the head of the cow, and they consume that during their rituals. One of the most alarming finds was sort of an underground bunker that we found, where an individual had mentioned this, that like 10 years ago they had been brought there and had been molested in a satanic cult and thought they saw killings and sacrifices and so forth. And in there, you could not see it because it was covered with leaves, it was just part of the ground level. And then you look and we found an opening where you went down and you went in there. And there was homemade chairs in there, which was very frightening because they were like miniature chairs, a chair that only a child could sit in. And they had like belts there where they would have been strapped to it, so it was very, very disturbing. You can drive in there with a car, and you can go very deep, and there's a lot of places you can hide. There used to be a lover's lane at one time, but not anymore. It just gets very dark there, and a little spooky.
Are all of the stories surrounding the Bridgewater Triangle historical fact? One would have to be naive to assume so. However, it is also jumping the gun to assume that every story that emerges from the region is sheer fiction. People must decide for themselves which legends and stories are worth a second thought and which are not. One must also decide who is sincere in their recollections and who has something to gain by fabricating such accounts. In the end, however, whether one believes the Bridgewater Triangle is significant or not is irrelevant. The fact is, there is something about this region that sets it aside from all others. No matter how skeptical we are as a community, we cannot help but wonder if the Bridgewater Triangle really is a gateway to the paranormal in our own backyards.
So, in that video, you saw quite a bit what happens in the forest. All of this is proven, as you can see from some of the police photos that were taken and shown. A lot of it has to do with, we believe, besides the cult, we believe a lot of the murders that have gone on in the forest, which have been numerous murders, have to do with this rock. This is the Freetown Ledge, and this is where I explained earlier, where the Indians were set up and killed. Before this was where you can see how there's water down below now, this was actually all solid rock. When the Indians were there, like I said, they would climb it, use it to protect themselves, see who's coming. I mean, from shots, which I have other shots that you'll see, you can see for miles up on top of the rock. It's actually very beautiful. This was actually after they were killed in the early 30s, 40s, mined out and used at certain locations within the Massachusetts area. It was used to go to Taunton State Hospital for the foundation, and also the walls around Taunton State Hospital. And it was also used for the mansions in Newport, which, if any of you have watched some of the shows, like Ghost Hunters and different ones, they've done quite a few of the mansions up there because there are reports of it being haunted. There is that connection that they say spirits can attach, energy can attach to different types of rock. This is all granite. So there is a possibility that that could happen. They supposedly, the ones that did survive the Indians, supposedly put a curse on the land. That no matter who comes to this land, they would end up dying somehow, or something bad would happen to them. While they were mining this and pulling the rock out, they had a shack that was filled with explosives. The guys walked in to pick it up. As soon as they picked up the box, 3 of them dead. The whole shack blew up. Nobody was smoking, nobody had a lighting on. They picked the box up to carry it. It just went off. About 2 weeks later, they were going down. They actually hit a natural spring. That's why the water's there. They couldn't get out because it's so steep. The crane is actually buried in the water. When that's low during the summertime because of burning it off, you can actually see the crane sticking out about 2 to 3 feet, the mast of it. Divers that have gone down have said it's about 70 to 80 feet is all they can get to because it's too murky and too cold. There's what they believe 3 to 4 natural springs now that are feeding that. During the late 30s and early 40s, the Providence mob, maybe 25, 30 minutes away, Boston mob about an hour north of us. They believe that a lot of bodies, they pulled about 70 bodies out of here so far. They believe that a lot of them were dumped there, but they also believe a lot of suicides have happened. One of them that is an undetermined suicide is a New Bedford police officer in 1983 went there. There's fish in there. How the fish got there is, they believe that just kind of the birds were carrying one that they got from another spot, maybe the eggs or something dropped. They don't know, cross-pollination, they believe. But there are fish in there. People go fishing. This guy was fishing there, and never came home. His wife called the cops, said something happened. They went out there looking. His body was laying at the bottom of the rock in the water. They said, oh, he committed suicide. He was under stress. This was a lieutenant of the police department, well-known gentleman, very well-to-do, 3 kids, no family problems. Wife didn't believe he committed suicide. The guy had over $1,000 in his pocket. If he was going to commit suicide, why wouldn't you leave that with maybe a note to your family or even leave it at home? You wouldn't bring it with you when you commit suicide. So something didn't seem right. To this date, like I said, they pulled about 70 bodies out. They can't go down any deeper, so they don't know how many more could still be down there from people dumping bodies in. This is another view of the bottom of the ledge from on the side. Now, we set up and we investigate this quite a bit, and I do have some EVPs that I will play for you that we've gotten from here. And just where this photo is taken is where we usually set up, run the cables up the cliff, put a couple of IR cameras up there, put 3 or 4 down below, a couple pointing up and a couple across the water. One of the other things about this location, at the end of the video, it showed UFOs. There is a report that you can look up online. Air Force One, Ronald Reagan, was leaving Cape Cod at a home that he was visiting. At a certain point during the month of March, he was flying over to go back down to Washington. All of a sudden, Air Force One called in fighter jets, saying that there's an unidentified flying object hovering him. And for them to call in fighter jets, they had to have seen something. So fighter jets got dispatched from the Cape and also from the Newport Naval Base. When they got the coordinates, it is directly over this. The pilots of Air Force One and Reagan himself went on record saying that they saw a disc-shaped object hovering and circling Air Force One. Not that they were afraid, but that it was out there circling. Other people have said that they've been on top and they see what they call the lights of the ledge. Big white lights, blue lights come up from the water. They hear like the water almost rising if something was coming up, and then it all just disappears. And then one other thing that is, I'm sure everybody here has heard the urban legend of the lady in white or the lady in black. We have the same thing here at this place. Woman went up there, was supposed to run away with her boyfriend. Next thing you know, the boyfriend doesn't show. She's upset. Family doesn't care for the guy, so she's embarrassed because she ran away. She jumps off, kills herself. The only twist that I've heard that's different to this is he actually went up there looking for her. He did show up, and when he looked and he saw her dead, he jumped after her. Now there is a report, a newspaper report from 1941 of a female and a male at the age of 22 approximately, both being found floating in that water. We're not saying that's her, but it's kind of odd, you know, this certain location has that urban legend, and yet they did find 2 bodies like that. So it's kind of it's a neat little thing that when I do tours out in the forest and bring people around, that you can kind of tell them, and I do have the article that I keep clipped out, and I show them that because it just kind of goes along with it. This is the view from up on top of that rock. And that's why I think it was such a good advantage point for the Indians, is because of how far you could see. That's Taunton State Hospital. That's where, when I said earlier, the foundation of the place. It's closed now. It's a mental hospital that's been around since the mid-40s to late 40s. It opened very late considering all the rest of the ones in Massachusetts. But it was shut down because they did find evidence that the patients were actually being brought into the basement and used for satanic rituals. There's burn marks on the floor in the shape of a circle with a pentagram. There's chants written all over the walls. And actual doctors have been tried and admitted so they wouldn't get life sentences for killing patients and using what they call voodoo and Satan worship on those patients. There is a building on this side of that black fence that is for teenagers that are in trouble, like a juvenile detention center. One of the patients, one of the teenagers actually escaped from here, and I got to interview him and talk to him because I heard the story and I couldn't believe it. The kid is 15 and he's serving life. He actually shot somebody in the head and killed somebody. And this is where they're holding him until he turns of 18 and can go and serve his time in a real jail. He managed to escape. He ran behind this building, and there's a cemetery back there. I figured he would hang out in the cemetery and hide there until it got nighttime and figure out a better plan. He started hearing things coming from the cemetery, voices. He started hearing footsteps, thought it was the guards. Nobody was there. Finally, he's sitting in a tree, not too high, about 3-4 foot off the ground, just enough that he could kind of like hide behind the big part of the tree. And something came up to him and yelled in his ear, "Go away." And he ran back so quick, he turned himself back in because he was actually scared. And the only other reports that I've ever heard from here are other children that are in the juvenile detention center seeing the man in black. He comes to them in their room, they'll see this black shadow that'll stop in a corner, then come towards the beds and actually hover over the beds. The kids are petrified to sleep in this place. I don't know if it has anything to do, I mean, there's a lot of circumstantial stuff here. You know, when you're talking from the Indians cursing the rock, how the rock being used for the foundation, the actual killings that did go on here because of there's so much circumstantial stuff, but it does make it quite interesting, the whole situation. This is the Indian ceremonial area that's still used to this day. It's very well taken care of. They go up, like I said, 3-4 times a year. It's off limits when they do go up there, but they allow us to go up when they're not there, do, investigating. I take people up there so people can see it, because it's in the middle of nowhere. You would never expect this to be hidden, and it's so, they go up there, they cut the grass weekly, they take care of the branches. It's a very beautiful place. These are some of the other pictures that we've gotten from there, and actually the top left-hand one was just recently. We don't know what that is. I've shown that to the chief of the Wampanoag Indians, and it is not theirs. There's 5 or 6 of them. In that picture, I believe there's 2, maybe 3. It's a clump of trees all wrapped with blue string, and they're all over the surrounding area, the ceremonial area. They have no reason why they would put it there, and they don't know why somebody else would. And of course, they don't know what it means. I tried researching, I found some questionable things online, but I'm not exactly sure. And the same thing with the bottom right, those are smudging bags. It's got the stuff for smudging in it, and they don't know how those got there. So they're wondering who's going up there, maybe doing some type of ritual that they shouldn't be doing, maybe to try and bring the Indian spirits back up. But there's definitely kids or somebody hanging around up there doing this. So I'll play 2 of the EVPs right now for you. This is the first one, as you can see, it's a little boy. It's going to be the full version, and then I'll play the second one for you, which is the enhanced Just the Word. This was at the Indian ceremonial area, and we don't know what it means. We played it for the Indians, and they definitely say it sounds like their language. It's tough to make out, but it sounds like a little boy saying almost like a sentence, not so much just a word. Now I'll play the enhanced version. We don't know what it's saying, but you can clearly hear me and somebody else talking in the background, and it's there, and we don't even hear it originally at the time. We've sent it to several different people to get their opinions, and it's definitely not English. These 2 here, the second one, to say goodbye, is a little bit harder to hear the words say without headphones on. Hopefully you'll be able to get it. But these were both taken at the, the OK was at the ceremonial area, the other one was at the ledge. The OK, at this time when we had this, we had no female investigators in our group. We had only been a group for maybe about 3 months. It was probably our second time out there. And you'll hear us stepping and walking, and you'll hear a branch crack. And right after the branch cracks, you'll hear the EVP. I mean, there's no question what it's saying there.
Okay.
Don't know where it came from, what it means. we're just walking along, we weren't doing an EVP session, but that's one of the things that I've learned about out there, is to carry the recorder on all the time. Even if we're not asking questions there, just do it, because we've gotten random other things just like that, talking in the background. I'll play this one. You can hear the goodbye. The say is very high. And that was just one of those other random ones that we were walking, and it was funny because on the digital camera, video camera, it also picked it up. And when I watched the video, we were all walking back to the truck from the ledge. So it's almost like it was standing there watching us leave, and it was saying goodbye. These are just some of the still photos that you guys did see in the video already. And again, with the underground bunker, there was a lot more to that. That detective that you saw in the video actually was threatened by, at the time, the district attorney and the mayor of Fall River. Because, has anybody ever seen Mr. Rogers? Okay, you guys all know who he is. This is going to sound funny to you guys, but it has been proven. He was actually part of a huge cult group that was down in Cape Cod, because the show was actually filmed from Cape Cod, and that's where he actually lives, or did. And there was a cult group that was all higher up people, chiefs of fire departments, lieutenants, town officials from all neighboring towns all in that area. When the detective Alan Alves had found this out, he went to the district attorney and said, you know, we need help to stop this. They pretty much said, either make this go away or you're going to disappear too, because there was too many high-ranking officials that would have went down and looked bad on him. So he kind of just laid low. They believe that the underground cave was not part of the college room murders. They believe it was part of that group that was taking young women, young kids, and doing things to them there with this. So they don't believe it was any part to do with the actual other ones. But as you can see, I mean, it was a pretty big cave. It was probably about a 10 by 20. I've searched for it now because I'd like to get it investigated. This was shot probably about 15 years ago. The murders actually happened in the late 70s, early 80s. And he doesn't remember where the cave is anymore. He's gone through a lot of mental breakdowns because of everything he's dealt with because of the cult crimes. So he's tried to pinpoint it to me, but I just haven't been able to. Now, with the college room murders, two of the girls were found. One was found under a high school set of bleachers. She was caught from here up to here. Insides were removed. She was bound with hands and feet behind her back. That was Doreen Levette. Barbara Raposa was also found that way, but in a beach in Westport, Massachusetts. Karen Marsden is the one that they said was, she actually got a hold of the police, asked for help because she knew things. The police actually took her to a church because she wanted to talk to a priest. Why, I don't know, but she did, maybe just to confess what she knew because she couldn't do it to the cops. The cops brought her to the church, left her there. The next day, she was reported missing. Nobody had found her. When the case actually ended up getting, the people got caught, they admitted killing her. And they gave her the location to her head, but never her body. So all her parents got was her head. To this day, nobody's ever found the body. As he said in the video, that woman, Robin Murphy, was actually trying to get paroled. She did. She now works for the state of Massachusetts Division of Unemployment, which there's a huge controversy right now of that going on. Because how could a governor of the state of Mass actually hire somebody like that and put him in a high position? I mean, the woman's a felon. How can a felon get a state job? So there's a lot going on right now with this whole case. But 2 weeks ago, she violated parole, so I think she might be going back for life. A lot of her parole was to stay out of trouble, not get caught with other felons. She got caught driving around with other felons and drugs in her car. So she violated that, so she could be going back for life. And these are just some more other pictures of the little chair that you saw in the stills. This is the actual shack where they committed the crimes. This is still standing to this day, and I do take people up there. This was actually an old logging camp in the 50s. There's a lot of cedar swamps in the area, and they would go there. They have this big shack, and then there's about 4 or 5 little ones. And the little ones were the ones they'd sleep in. This big one was kind of like an eating hall for them, would stove in there. When they abandoned it, because the logs had all been taken, they didn't knock it down. So it's pretty much free game. And it is in the middle of nowhere. The closest road or house to it that isn't dirt and with gates and everything is about 3 to 4 miles away in any direction. So these guys could go up there and use this and get away with anything and never get caught. Now, even though this was the shack where they did their rituals, no actual murders actually happened. All the murders actually happened outside of the forest, wherever the bodies were dumped. And that is the end of the presentation. Does anybody have any questions about any part of the presentation? Yes?
You talked in the beginning about other things than the murders or the cults, maybe cryptozoology
Yes.
related. That would be something we would.
Okay, no, definitely. There's another section of the triangle called the Huckamuck Swamp. And I usually leave that out only because I've never investigated. I do have a team member that has gone there and investigated. And there's been reports of thunderbirds seen there, big giant birds with 12, 14-foot wingspans flying overhead. The people that have seen it are credible witnesses per se. You know, they submitted themselves to drug testing. They submitted themselves to a lie detector test just to prove it. And all came back negative. You know, they didn't lie about it. They weren't using drugs. But you have to think, we have a large variety of, I don't know what type of bird they might be down here, but they're turkey vultures up there. Their wingspans already are about 8 foot on an adult one. And you're gonna think it would have to be perfect conditions, and this is just my logical reasoning behind it, but 15 foot in the air, 10 foot in the air above you, so we're talking probably 25 foot off the ground. You got the sun above you pointing down at them, you can't see them perfect to begin with. That's gonna cast a shadow on the ground bigger than what it really is. So if they already have an 8 or a 10 foot wingspan, it's gonna look 12, 14 foot or bigger. That could be. As for Bigfoot sighting, there's been about 3 or 4 Bigfoot sightings there. One of them was actually pretty substantial. 2 police officers during their duty were hiding on a side street watching for speeders. I think they were probably sitting around drinking because it's in a little town and they got nothing better to do, but that's the story they gave. They called dispatch for help. They said they saw something very big run past the car towards the back. As they were trying to get out, the car got flipped over on its roof. And they had pictures of the car upside down on its roof. Bigfoot, I don't know. You know, again, knowing the city, the town it's in, I think somebody had a little too much to drink, cut the wheel to go into the road and maybe rolled the car and didn't want to get blamed for it. But who knows? There have been sightings of large pumas up there. I don't believe they're pumas. I believe they're some kind of a wild dog, or even a household pet that somebody sees in the middle of the night go running by, and they think it's something that it's not. Again, I've lived up there all my life, not too far from there, and I've never seen anything since I've been around like that. The only other thing that has been proven, and it was very easy to throw away, was they said giant snakes up to 20, 30 foot have been found up there. Somebody actually had 2 anacondas and let them loose because they got too big. They actually survived and bred, and there was a whole nest of them up there. The biggest one that was captured was 26 foot long. So, but that's not, you know, a crypto like they're trying to make it out to be, and the actual report from the person was it was 4 foot in diameter. You know, they are about this big, even when they're full grown. They're just long animals. So, you know, it's one of those tales that gets thrown along and along, and as the next person goes, it goes from 2 foot around to 4 foot around. Anything else? Any other questions?
Was
there like ley lines that run through here? Or do the natives feel that it's like a big power spot? for
They
them?
do, and we're actually doing a lot of experiments with that right now. A couple of the experiments that we're doing is, a few times that we've gotten EVPs up there, we've asked them, we know that they're big believers in the stars, the moons, that's how they lived. Few of the times that we've been up there and gotten the EVPs, it's been half moons, new moons, and full moons. Now, other times that we've been up there, and we've even tried enticing them, the Indians gave me an actual drum ceremony on recording. And I played that back and lit the center of the ceremonial area on a night that had no moon, got absolutely nothing. Yet, we never used that stuff on a night with a full moon or a half moon and come away with that okay.
Because that opens up.
It's tough to say, so we're trying to do that still with the experiment with that. We want to kind of narrow it down and say, okay, on a full moon this time of year, we get a ton. On a full moon this time of year, we didn't have it. So is there some substantial to them having something in October that means something to them where maybe May doesn't?
Like for the equinox.
Exactly.
And solstice.
Yep. Anything else? Oh, thank you very much for coming and listening.
Thank you.